Welcome to Strictly Ball Business, episode 17. We are here in the flesh, in our own mesh. We're ready to talk about the greatest basketball sesh. That was today, NBA opening night, baby, between the Milwaukee Bucks, the Brooklyn Nets, and we had another one with the Los Angeles Lakers and the Phoenix Suns. Today's episode will also break down the Oklahoma City Thunder young core. Boy, are they exciting. And we're going to let you know what they're going to do this year. We're also going to talk about some mid-market teams, whether they're buyers or sellers this year, what we think is going to trend towards the trade deadline in February, and what are some moves that the Milwaukee Bucks could make on the buyout or trade market, kind of predicting out in the future that way. So starting out, Thunder young core, man. Where do you want to get off the top there with these guys? I mean, the best player obviously is SGA.
Yeah, I think he's where we should start off here. Last season, 23.7 points per game, 4.7 rebounds, 5.9 assists, 50, 42, 81. It's just fucking rock star. This guy's already a superstar. Actually, I like a lot of it came from Chris Paul. That time with Chris Paul helped him a lot. I mean, he went from like 11 points a game and like 2-2 with the Clippers. I mean, he looked really good at the end of his rookie season. But then moving to OKC, spending time with Chris Paul, I think that really helped him out. And now he's just grown into, honestly, in my opinion, he's the best all-around young player in the league. All around, like everything, he's good at everything, and he's like obviously elite at some things. Like he's an elite shot creator, he's an elite defender, I think. Like, but
The
I don't
best,
know.
the best all-around young player in the league. Is he that great at defense where he's
He is.
greater than a guy like Jason Tatum or Luka Doncic? Or
I think he's a smarter defender than Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum obviously has size and more length than him, but I do think he's a smarter defender. I mean, they do defend different positions, and it is a different defensive scheme. They're both asked to do different things in their different systems. But I do think he's the better defensive player than Jason Tatum. I think Jason Tatum's a better shooter. I think Jason Tatum's a better all-around scorer. But I don't. But as for, I mean, all-around scorer, I mean, yeah, I mean all-around scorer. I think if it's just offense, then that's Jason Tatum. But all around, I think his defense, SGA's defense is better. Playmaking's a lot better. So, but he's a great
you heard
cutter,
it here
skill
first.
finisher.
SGA is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I love him. Dalton loves him even more. I mean, he's a baller. I mean, I won't lie with you there. He is a dude who can create his own shot anywhere on the floor. He's immediately, since day one, been able to command an offense and have a solid ball handle. And I think, yeah, playing with CP3 definitely helped him there. And they've got some other talented guys here as well. But I think he's going to help make this young team even better. Obviously, he just got the big extension, obviously, very deserving of that. And he's the leader of this team. And I can see him taking some of these young guys under his wing. And maybe he's not a veteran yet himself, but shit, he's got to be on this team in a way.
Yeah, I think the biggest step for OKC is to find that point guard next to him. Now, I know he can obviously play point guard. He's played point guard for the team, but I really think he's going to excel in that a James Harden type role where he's the shooting guard because he's really good off ball. Like he's not a ball dominant guard at all, and I think you can take advantage of that if you get a decent point guard next to him. Like James Harden can play point guard. He just doesn't because he's so good at scoring, and he can be that second facilitator like he did with the Rockets with CP3 and obviously Russell Westbrook and now if Kyrie ever shows up. But he's able to be that second hand guy. And I think that role would fit SGA a lot better. Able to get the ball out of his hands. He can, like I said, he was a very skilled cutter. Off ball movement's great. Kind of like Steph Curry doesn't stop moving. It's awesome. And he can make something out of nothing. And I think that's going to help him out a lot. It's just, can they find that point guard? Or maybe they already have. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the next guy who is a point guard, maybe he's just going to be a regular guard long term in the NBA, But Josh Giddy, a guy that I was really excited about coming into the league, and I'm excited to watch him play here now that the regular season is here. He's a dude who has a decent ball handle, better than we thought he would coming over here to the U.S. And he's a dude who can really push it in the fast break. He can facilitate really well, as a lot of guys from overseas tend to be able to do. And great type of size and body to build into in the NBA. His age with his body, I think this is a guy that they're hoping they can mold into like a LaMelo Ball type of player. A dude who can lob it up for the other guys in fast break, a guy who makes his other teammates better, and eventually, hopefully, he can shoot a nice 3-point shot as well, is the idea.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the reason why he was drafted is his playmaking potential. He's increased a lot there. Everyone was wondering if that would actually translate to the league. I mean, he averaged 7 assists in the on the Adelaide team, and it hasn't fully come over, but we have seen a lot of shots, spurts of his passing, and that he can make the right pass, and his handle's getting better. Which that's personally my favorite trait of his, is that he's able to improve. I mean, he came in, like I just said, his handle unpolished score. Still has a lot to come on the scoring end, and I'd like to see him put on some weight. I mean, he is 6'8". If he puts on some weight, gets a little more physical, then he could be able to be a nice, versatile guy to be in the lineup, guard 1 through 4. I think that would work out, and especially if he's your point guard,
Mm-hmm.
that's hard. I mean, size alone, like that's still a hard, even if he's not the smartest defender. Like
Yeah. Yeah,
that'll help
personally,
out a
I
ton.
think they've potentially found a gem here with him, and that they've got their point guard alongside their shooting guard with SGA. And now they just got to get some solid bigs in there. I think that's a matter of hoping that some of these picks they can package together to get higher picks, or maybe they tank to get them. I don't know. Who they got right now on the team for a big man that you like?
Darius Baisley's, I think, a lot of people's favorite
Yep.
big man on this team.
Yep.
13 points per game, 7 rebounds, 1.8 assists. He's 40, 29, 70 shooting splits. I think the 29 is interesting. Another guy shoots about that. They're who I think will transition into their starting center by the end of the year. Uh, but that really helps out. Like if that's the way it's going to trend, it really opens up the offense if he can be out there and hit shots. I mean, he looks confident when he shoots them, but I think his biggest problem is he's not the best defensive player. I mean, it's a very simple defense, right? So he's in the right spot, doing the right thing. I mean, so in most cases, that's all you can ask, but it's the NBA.
Yep. He's
Like
been,
that's
yeah,
the expected. You need to
he's
do,
pretty slim.
yeah.
But he is a guy who's able to get rebounds at least, and most of them I think are on the defensive end. But he's got good height at least, and I think if you get him hitting the gym get him hitting into the gym enough, and hopefully after a full off season here as well, after a couple of weird seasons, I think this could be a nice breakout year for a guy like Darius Baisley.
Oh yeah, I think his rebounding can take a huge jump. The biggest part of last season why he didn't grab as many rebounds. I mean, he still grabbed 7 because he's got great timing. He can get up there. It's great. It's just his rebound positioning. He would take one step further to his anticipation on where the ball would go wasn't the best. But I think that comes with playing in the league. I think he really has it in him to be a really nice rebounder at the 4 or 5, whichever if they're playing small
Yeah.
ball. He has a really decent handle for such a long 4. I think it's impressive to see. He's able to take players off the dribble, which is super helpful.
Hmm.
His ball security does need work. He's easily trapped. He's very limited when it comes to that part. That's but then again, that's why they have all these guards they've thrown in there to see if somebody can come in there and help him out with that. But
Yep.
just got to be I'd like to see a little more aggression from him this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think he can definitely take a step up here. I mean, I don't know how many opportunities he's going to get outside of like the pick and roll, but hopefully bringing in a guy like Josh Giddy helps some of these younger big guys improve as well. So,
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. But another guy I was actually watching his film from when I was out playing basketball just to see if there's anything I could get better at. I mean, I know there's tons, but Lou Dort, right? 14 points per
Yes.
game, 3 rebounds, 1.7 assists, 39, 34, 74. Those shooting splits, obviously, when
Yeah.
you look at them, they don't look great. I do think he's a lot better of a shooter than stats say. He's very confident, but he just commits so hard on the defensive end. Like, I mean, NBA players are human, right? If you're just going to go exert all your energy on one end, I mean, one end just will suffer. I mean, it's just what's going to happen. And he's one of the best perimeter defenders in the league.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, and every
always
team
shift.
needs a guy like that. I mean, and this is a guy who they have on a bargain deal too. He's, I think, under contract for another 3 years, and I think 3 mil per year, basically, or something like that. And I think he's a dude who's improving as a shooter. He was able to be a little bit clutch in that playoff series they had a couple seasons ago.
Mhm.
And yeah, like you said, having a great perimeter defender, you need that alongside SGA. You need that alongside these other young guards. He's young himself, but he sets by example. Hopefully, you got a good defensive team here going forward at some point.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'd say he's an elite defender. He's one of, like I said, he's one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. I mean, he always shifting his position with offensive players. He's got his hands and feet always active. Doesn't let offense get comfortable in their own set, and he makes it look so easy to get in front of people because he's able to shift on the players, like letting them run into him rather than diagonally. It's really hard, but like this guy's just a genius. He's able to just as soon as he sees any movement, get in front of them, but shift. Like his lateral speed is insane for defending.
Yeah,
And that's really what makes him such a good defender. I mean, that there's a lot of things, but that's like the standout reason that he's able to do that.
no doubt, no doubt. No, love Lou Dort. I mean, he's got one of the best names in the NBA. Period.
Yeah.
Lou Gwent Dort. I love it.
Oh yeah. Rolls off the tongue. It's great. What doesn't roll off the tongue is
Pokashevsky.
yeah, Pokashevsky. I mean, 8 points, 4.7, 2.2. 9.9 blocks per game, 34, 28, 74. Obviously, a super inefficient player when you look at the stats. He had some games where he just looked like the second coming of the unicorn.
Yeah,
Like some games, he just looked like a
yeah,
totally different player.
yeah.
And
He
the
looked
next
like
game,
Russian Kevin Durant
yeah.
sometimes.
But then the next game, just crickets. The guy just
Yep.
like he has a twin brother that they switch off playing basketball every once in a while.
It was rookie though, you know.
Yeah, super inconsistencies down bound to happen, but I think it's when he was doing well, it's his shooting. It's his 3-point shooting that really stands out. I mean, this guy's
Yep.
able to run, find his spot, and get the shot up quick, and he it looks good. 3-point shots can usually look awkward when guys are that tall, but his looks fine. It looks comfortable. It's just getting comfortable on the court in the NBA. I mean, like you said, he was a rookie. Um,
Yep. But he had games where he shot like 5 or 6 from three. And I think like when you have flashes in the pan like that, that's a great sign of where things can go moving forward. Obviously, there's going to be tons of mistakes for a guy who was picked outside the lottery. I think he's got a lot of opportunity to grow, and this team's going to allow him to. He's a great shooter, and I think he can definitely get more consistent there if he just finds some better shots. I think he took a lot of them, kind of not sure if he should be taking that shot kind of off of his foot one way or the other. And so hopefully some better coaching here is going to put him in a better position to take some smarter shots moving forward.
Yeah, I think so. I think also he needs a huge improvement in his fundamentals. I mean, like a lot of tall guys, they tend to look clumsy and off balance, especially on he mostly looked like that on defense. Uh, which obviously he has the potential to be a really nice defensive player. So I just like
Mm-hmm.
to see him clean up those fundamentals, get some more confidence, and I think he'll turn into a solid piece on this team or really any team. I
Yeah,
think
no
he
doubt.
certainly has the potential, and we've seen where he can go, and I think he can get there. So
Yeah.
excited to see what he can do this season.
Yeah, no, I think anytime you have some solid foreign players in the league is fun. And this Thunder team has a couple of solid dudes now from the foreign side. And it's just going to help the game be more international. We're bringing many different countries to the small city of Oklahoma City.
Oh yeah.
Rural town where cows are abundant, and so is gravy and country fried steak.
Hell yeah.
Anything else to say on the Thunder?
Yeah, so my last guy I want to touch up on is I think Favors will be the starting center starting off the season. I mean, he's a good veteran presence, but I think they eventually want to move Isaiah Roby into that position. I mean, he's really showed some talent last season. 8.7 points per game, 5.6 rebounds, 1.8 assists, zero point 0.9 steals a game, 48, 29, 74. He was a very underutilized passer. I think he's a better passer than they've written up plays for him. He's a pretty decent rounder. A rebounder. He has the potential to really spread the floor. I mean, like I said, he's this guy that was shooting 29% from three. And as a center, if you can see any improvement in that, like get that up to 33, 35, I think that's enough of a stretch center for this league.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, people
Um,
will take that and say that's very good.
oh yeah, and I think it makes him really dangerous because he's a very fast end to end finisher. He can really punish them in space. Like you give him just enough, he can accelerate in and get what he wants. I'd like to see a little more pick and rolls with him. I mean, he had a very little minutes last season, and I just didn't see enough where I can see how well that's gonna go. But I'd like to see him more in there. He's nice, athletic. He's got good active hands. Just excited to see him in bigger minutes. I think he could really be the starting center for this team.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's a guy that could certainly get some opportunity here, but for the most part, this young core it's highlighted by SGA and the new man Josh Giddy and our boy Lou Dort, and they got a ton of picks here going forward. Eventually, they're gonna, hopefully get a pick like in the top three, maybe one or two, and that'll really change the trajectory of this franchise. For now, they've still got some really solid players. So one of the best young in the cores, but one of the best young cores in the NBA. Is it the best young core period in the NBA? Leave it up to you. Next, we'll move on to a question to the mid-market team. So, hello, mid-market teams. Are you buying or selling this
We are
year?
here. Yeah. So my question, I have a list of teams, right? So this is by midseason. So they might not be sellers or buyers at all right now.
I got you.
But by midseason, do you think they'll be
Yeah,
active on the trade
yeah.
market? So
Everyone's 0-0 now. Besides the Lakers, the worst team in the NBA, and the Nets, also the worst team.
exactly. So let's start off. We've already given a talk about them, the Pacers. Do you think by midseason they'll be buyers or do you think they will be sellers? They're
Buyers.
23 in the power rankings as of a week ago.
I'm gonna say they're gonna buy.
They're going to be buyers.
I'm gonna say
Okay.
they're gonna buy because I think I am buying into Rick Carlisle being such a big upgrade over Nate Bjorkgren. I mean, freaking this team last year had a mutiny over Nate Bjorkgren, and now they get Rick Carlisle, a guy who sure maybe there were some rumblings that shit wasn't so great with Luka in the end, but in general, Rick Carlisle is a top five at the least a top 10 coach in this league, and you add him to this team, it's basically like adding a star player. I mean, I think that's going to add a ton for them. And by the time we get to the trade deadline, they're going to be looking at their squad thinking, you know what, we've got a ton of good to great players, but we can also get someone else to put us over the top. Who that someone else might be, I'm not sure. Now that they've extended Malcolm Brogdon, they can't trade him for a couple of months. So really, a Ben Simmons trade is probably off the table till midseason. So maybe at that time, a Ben Simmons trade is still out there. I hope not. I'm tired of talking about the guy.
Yeah.
But you never know. I think in general, the Pacers would be buyers.
Yeah. So even though I think they should blow it up and try to rebuild around Sabonis. However, I do think they will be buyers when it comes to trade deadline. Next team I have, 22nd in the power rankings, is the Charlotte Hornets. Do you think by
Sellers.
midseason they're going to be sellers by midseason? Gordon
Yeah,
Hayward,
but
Rozier, they're going to be on the market.
yeah, I don't know if Rozier necessarily will, but I think they'd love to trade Gordon Hayward if possible. I don't think the Hornets are necessarily going to have a great start to the season. I think by the time we get to like mid-season, they're probably like 6 or 7 games under 500, and they think, you know what, might as well get rid of a bad contract here or there. So maybe they shell out a guy like Mason Plumlee so that a guy like Kai Jones can play a little bit more. But
Sure.
in general, I think the reason why they'll be sellers is because they didn't address that center problem enough. Sure, Mason Plumlee is a nice addition. I don't think it's going to be enough for them to put them in a better position than they were last season.
For sure. I think they'll be sellers. I think they'll be open to both, but I think they should be sellers. I mean, if they had to make a trade off the top of my head, I'd say like Wiggins and Kuminga for Hayward, maybe. Man, I can see how both teams would see some value in that. Mainly the Hornets getting another rim runner, but I mean, Kuminga is essentially what Miles Turner is now. Uh, so I don't see that
He's a
being a
rookie.
fit,
He
but
can grow into be a lot more. So I think the Hornets are looking to culminate as much talent as possible right now. That's why they
mhm.
drafted a guy like James Bouknight who can get his own shot. Because getting bucket getters right now is a huge part of the process of a rebuild.
Right. All right, so another team. So 17th in the power rankings, the Trailblazers. Are they buying or selling by midseason?
Buying, most definitely, they're buying
Yeah.
because they're at least going to be looking at a play-in spot. And this team is trying everything they can do to keep Lillard here. They'll trade any first round pick they can to bring someone in. And
Yeah.
I don't know if they've got any more to trade on the horizon, but they could always try and upgrade marginally from the guys that they have as well.
Yeah. They should be buyers. They should be looking to upgrade in any way they can, especially if some players become more available than others. Like if somebody doesn't get an extension they don't want, and they're able to make a hefty trade by trading away some players and
Yeah.
get that some finals experience in their roster. Not that I think it'll happen, but I mean it's something to consider. I think that would really put them over the top in certain ways. Uh yeah, buyers definitely. I think they should be. So next, the Pelicans. What do you think they're doing?
I think the Pelicans will be sellers. This is a team that, to me, I think could spiral a lot out of control already. With they're trying to keep this Zion foot surgery stuff under the rug just so they can sell tickets. I think that shit's disgusting. But who knows how much he's going to play this year? If he misses significant time, they are not going to have a good record. Sorry if that is like a revelation to some people, but they are not going to be that good this year. So
Yeah,
not if Zion's out there. So they probably will be selling, trading a guy like Jonas Valanciunas possibly. I don't know. He might be really good for them anyways, but
mhm.
I don't know. Trading whatever they can, I suppose. Maybe like a Josh Hart gets traded away.
Yeah, I think they'll be marginal sellers. Like I think they're gonna keep Valanciunas. I think they're gonna keep Graham. I think they're gonna keep most of the big time people. You'd think of them trading, but I think it's just gonna be all the smaller guys. Like maybe Jackson Hayes gets moved for some other veteran they think that can help. Josh Hart is a big one. I think he's really likely to get traded. We'll see. I mean, I don't think it's going to be enough to make a change. I think they're ultimately going to have the same team next year, unless like I said, like maybe Damian Lillard becomes available and they trade the house for him. But outside of that, I don't see them making too many changes to this team.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to get better in the NBA, especially with the type of guys that they have. I'm a big believer that they should have just kept Lonzo Ball. They
Yeah,
obviously didn't do that. They've got a guy like Brandon Ingram who's solid, and he could always be a great trade chip to get you somebody better than him, like a Damian Lillard, if they became available. But I think that's just hoping for a lot too. You don't expect these guys like Damian Lillard and Bradley Beal to have such loyal personalities, but guys they are, and these are real people, so they're not. It's not our 2K game, and we can't just move them around.
That's right. So speaking of guys moving around, all right. So we got the your team, the Timberwolves. So they buying or selling?
We'll be buying because we need a power forward. And I'll tell you what, we are not only fighting for the play-in, but we are fighting for the playoffs. My motherfucker, we are going to be so good. And every neighborhood is going to be talking about us because Anthony Edwards could possibly win MVP this year. Jaden McDaniels could possibly be an all-star in a couple of years. Karl Anthony Towns will be an all-star this year. Undoubtedly, he's gonna be a at least second team All NBA, and
Wow.
he's gonna put himself back in the conversation with guys like Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic.
Some
And in fact,
confidence.
yeah, in fact, Malik Beasley is not gonna go back to jail like some think is possible. Instead, he's gonna jail your favorite teams. He's gonna lock them down on defense, and he's gonna show them what it's like to be the best friend, but also the enemy within. And he's gonna knock them down back to hell just where they belong. And I'll tell you what, also, D'Angelo Russell is back, baby. And this time he's got a beard just like yours truly. He's got some long hair, not like me. And he's a lot better at basketball. He's got some cooler tats, but that dude, he is going to ball. He's healthy. He only played like, I don't know, 43 games last year. And this year, I'm expecting a ton out of that big three.
Yeah, I think they'll be buyers.
They'll be buying. They'll be buying is what I'm saying in short. Short story. They're buying. I'm saying like Ben Simmons, Miles Turner, come on down. Bring them both.
All right. Next team I got accelerated their rebuild by a lot because they were hoping they could start winning now, and they are the Mavericks, and they hit a wall last season, especially in their second star and Porzingis. So they're in some questionable space. What do you think? Are they
Well,
going to
they'll
be buyers or
be
sellers?
well, they'll be making the playoffs. Most likely. I mean, there's no way that they won't. When you got a guy like Luca, he can drag you there. And I think by what everyone's saying, Kristaps looks like he's in good shape. Hopefully, a full off season did him some good, and he'll be better this year. I can see them being buyers. I'm not too sure what's going to be out there for them, but I mean, they'll take anything. This team needs a lot of talent. They've got some solid guys around Luca, but they need more shooters. So if some shooting is out there, they would probably say yes, please, and thank you.
Yeah, they certainly have some cap flexibility. They have a bunch of guys on good contracts that they can move around. If they need to put together the salary for a max, they can do that without adding Kristaps or Luca in there. So I think they'll be buyers. I think
Yeah.
they should be buyers. They capitalize now. Like all things considered, Porzingis is still when he plays like a good player. He's still defends, great shooter,
Last year
good
he
nice
didn't
offense.
defend. If you can get a healthy version that looks good and
Yeah,
resembles a little bit of what he did before, yeah, I agree. I mean, before he was a potential star. I mean, the guy that they traded for supposed to be awesome with this connection with Luca, and this is kind of the last year to make it happen before it's like kind of
yeah.
break up these two maybe.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I mean, last year, yeah, like you said, he was injured, so defense
Yeah,
is harder to play when you're injured rather than
yeah.
offense. But
But they've both been talking shit about each other. They've known that they're not friends, so like this kind of feels like if Porzingis is going to have a great year, he needs to do it this year. Otherwise, like he's just going to be scapegoated, and they'll probably move on from him.
for sure. All right. So Grizzlies, buy or sell? Are they buying or selling by midseason? Because I have no idea what the fuck they're doing.
They're selling because they've been selling. They traded away Grayson Allen just because they didn't want to pay him $10 million per year.
Look good
Um,
too in
they've
this
been
last
talking
game.
about trading Dylan Brooks and Kyle Anderson potentially. I don't see how they could possibly be buyers because they clearly want to kick the can down the road another year or two. Let a guy like Zaire Williams mature a little bit more. John Morant come more into his own, as well as Jaren Jackson, they just gave this extension to. They want him to actually be healthy and show who he is. So I don't know how much more talent they want flooding those guys out right now, bringing in new guys to rock the boat. But I do see this team at some point making a big splash for like a star. I just don't see it happening like during this season.
Okay. I got three more teams. Raptors. Are they buying? Oh, by the way, yeah, I think they'll be selling too. So Raptors, they buying or selling?
Raptors, I think will be selling. I think it'll be close. I do see them as like a play-on or playoff team possibly, but at the same time, I don't think they'll change things up too much. I think selling is like, maybe trading Goran Dragic or maybe someone low tier that doesn't really move the needle too much. And they might make the playoffs either way, but I don't really see them making a big trade to bring someone new in.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're just gonna do it to get a little more versatility. I mean, they're so loaded on their front court with Boucher, Achua, Siakam, Anobi, Barnes. I mean, all of those guys could, if potentially, be starting caliber players, and they have five, and then five of them. So they got to figure out what to do with all those guys. I mean, they could play them off the bench, but I'd like to. I mean, this is number 4 pick, right? Like to see Scotty Barnes get those
Yeah.
minutes, but I mean, they're going to go to Siakam and Anobi because those guys aren't going to get benched. They've already proven to be good players. So we'll see what they choose to do. I mean, they have already a pretty good guard, borderline guard with Van Vliet, so they could go out and get a point guard or another shooting guard. Van Vliet's kind of shorter, so plus they have Gary Trent. So they have a lot of guys, and they're gonna have to figure out what to do. Maybe get a true center, but
Siakam is hurt as well to start out the season. So Scotty Barnes should get a few more minutes here to start out, maybe give them a better idea of what he can give them immediately. And then maybe once Siakam's healthy, maybe they decide to trade someone at that point.
right.
I don't know. I'm really excited for a guy like OG this season. I think he's going to take a huge step. But Scotty Barnes looks really good too, and it's like, I mean, you selected him for a reason, obviously. So, very interested to see what this team does. I think, yeah, diversifying themselves, maybe getting stronger at guard would be a good idea. But not sure they're ready to trade Siakam either. And I think I'd rather trade him than OG.
Really? Oh wow. I mean, it's hard to say. We'll have to see what I think. Yeah, like you said, OG is really going to come out this season, so we're going to have to see his ceiling. Once we start to see OG's ceiling, then it'll be like Siakam, or see how good Scotty Barnes is going to be. If Scotty Barnes is going to be the player they thought they were going to draft, then maybe moving Siakam's the best move. Get a full on center or an all star point guard, shooting
Yeah.
guard. We'll see.
Yeah, I think the
Um,
return could be greater, and OG potentially gives you more from a 3-point shooting perspective
and defense.
and defense. And I just expect him to take a bigger leap this year in terms of his averages as well, with Lowry being gone. So I think the perception on him could radically change by the end of the season.
I agree. So the Kings, they buying or selling? Because I think they're selling.
Um,
I think they
I
got a lot of guys that don't want to be there. Marvin Bagley has already come out as
yeah.
of today or yesterday. They're saying that they don't plan to play him on, put him in the rotation going forward, and he's pretty mad about that.
Well, you know why he's mad at that is because he has to get like 31 games to have like a higher qualifying offer. And
Mhm.
so it's a money thing. And also, like, I'm sure he wishes he could start, but I'm sure the Kings wish that Marvin Bagley could score a right-handed layup as well. Um, I think the Kings will be buyers because I think they'll be like optimistic. They'll be like, oh, we're 4 games out of the play-in. We haven't made the playoffs in 17 seasons. They're like, we gotta fucking go for it.
You
So
see,
and so is available on the trade market that'll help us make it. So I definitely could see them being buyers, and I wouldn't blame them for it. I mean, I love the one season that we made it to the playoffs as a Timberwolves fan, even if we traded Zach LaVine for it. Yeah.
oh, and Chris Dunn. Don't forget Chris Dunn and Laurie
Laurie
Markkinen.
Markkinen, yeah. just so we could have Justin Patton and Jimmy Butler.
Great. Perfect. All right.
Turned it into a Timberwolves tangent again.
That's all right. So the last team, are the Wizards going to be buying or are they going to be selling? Because they got a lot of pieces from that Russell Westbrook trade. So they got some assets. KCP, Harrell. They got Bertans. They got Bryant's back. They got some. Oh, and they just gave Gafford all that money. Gafford signed that extension.
Yep, 341. I think they are buyers. I think they're a team that is going to be optimistic about making the playoffs as well. And anytime you have Bradley Beal, a talent like him, if you are competitive by the trade deadline, then you have to, support him and a guy like Spencer Dinwiddie as well and try and get better. And like you said, they've got some solid pieces that they brought back in that Russell Westbrook trade. And I think maybe they could package something together for like a solid player that they could bring in.
Yeah, I think they're going to be buyers. Yeah, I think they're a pretty sneaky one to try to fit into that race for Ben Simmons, especially if things are going the way they are. I think that would be a cool thing. Nobody's considered Beal and Simmons playing together, and I think that could be a really nice pair. I think they're more complementary to each other. One's better
Yeah.
defense, clearly a better shooter, and not afraid for the shot. And I think a place like Washington DC could possibly bring out that confidence Ben Simmons needs in his game.
Yeah,
So
that
we'll
could work
see.
out. I mean, Spencer Dinwiddie could be decent in Philadelphia as well.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Throwing Spencer Dinwiddie, KCP, maybe Harrell, but I mean they have Drummond, so that's not the best. Thomas Bryant you could throw in there, but I don't know about that. But maybe Kuzma.
Yeah, maybe. But let's move on to moves that the Milwaukee Bucks could make looking ahead throughout this season on the buyout or the trade market to improve themselves and possibly repeat as champions. Um, I think if they could get a solid defender like they had last year in PJ Tucker, having something nice like that would help them out. Obviously, if PJ Tucker was available, you trade for him. But Miami Heat, they're probably going to be good. I doubt they'll be looking to trade him away. I think maybe you try to trade some salary and bring in a guy like Miles Bridges. I don't know. That'd be
Maybe.
great. A guy who hasn't gotten extended yet, and you got him for a season before he hits free agency, and you're like, okay, that's fine. Go get paid, do whatever you want to do. But you're a solid piece off the bench for us, high energy guy, gets rebounds and dunks for us as well.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of essentially already have him in Brook Lopez. He's just obviously younger, but Brook can shoot a little better. I think they'd probably have to get Miles Turner, probably throw in Brook Lopez and some
No, Miles
change.
Bridges,
Oh,
not
Miles
Turner.
Bridges. Oh, Miles
Turner would
Bridges.
be
Yeah,
interesting. That would take probably a lot. Bridges, I was just thinking because he didn't get extended, so they might actually be able to afford him.
yeah. I think they need a little more shooting, but I mean they added Grayson Allen, they added Hill, Norwa, Ojale, and Hood. They lost Tucker and Forbes. DiVincenzo is going to be back on off injury soon. I mean, Lopez is 33 years old, so you got to consider that he's getting older. I think George Hill is going to fall off, and I don't want to get into the game too much, but you could definitely see that he's not that player that he was even two years ago as like a really nice back six man for them. I
Yeah,
don't think his defense is going to hold up like they thought it was. Um, they could be open on the buyout market. There's a few guys I think they should look for. I think a guy that would be really nice fit for this team is actually Slow Mo. I think he's within their area of expertise. He's a good shooter, decent defender. I think he could be off the bench for them. I think that would fit well. Or he could even play small forward and move Middleton to the two. There's a few options for that. But I think he would be a nice pick. I mean, you'd probably have to do like George, Connaughton, and Norwa, lose some playmaking, some steals, but I don't think Hill's going to be that that great for them anyway. Maybe throw in a second. I don't know why the Grizzlies would do that, but I also don't know why the Grizzlies would do anything because I don't understand them right now. They're my anomaly, but
Yeah,
maybe
only thing that'd be tough about that is like, all those guys play for the Bucks because they actually need those guys to be in the rotation. So
yeah, Norwood did look really
train
good.
like three rotational players for one would be kind of tough.
Yeah. I mean, he's a little more than a rotational player. He could definitely be I think I see Kyle Anderson as being a really nice top 10 six man in the league, with the right system. And I think the Bucks have that right system. But there's a few guys that could be on the buyout market, looking ahead this season that I think the Bucks really have a chance to sign. So one guy I think could add them some shooting, some veteran presence that would be nice that everyone hates, Kevin Love. Uh, if they ever decide to buy him out, I think he has some value for the Timberwolves. I mean Timberwolves, the Bucks. I think they could use a guy like that. Just sit out there, shoot, throw the ball at people. I think that would. I mean, Giannis obviously loves throwing the ball in Harden's face. I think it would be a good fit.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I mean, I
The,
don't know how they'd be able to fit that contract.
no, I mean
Um,
buyout market.
oh, buyout. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, sure. I guess why not?
yeah.
If it's like a minimum deal type of thing, I guess why not? Um, I mean,
Well,
another guy that would be great if the Hornets just decided to trade him away would be like Kelly Oubre.
yeah, he'd be nice. He's starting to shoot better that year with Steph Curry. He started at the end of the season, started to get a solid jumper.
Hmm.
That's his defense still doesn't hold up, but he's a spark plug off the bench. I think that would be nice.
Yep.
The real guy, I think that the Bucks it would be great for the Bucks to pick up in the buyout market is Eric Gordon. I think if he makes it to the buyout, which I think it's very huge possibility, he only makes like 18, 22 mil this year. People have been bought out off worse. I think he could definitely fit this team. His 3-point shooting, I mean, it was just a season ago. He was averaging like 18 points per game. Like this guy still has a lot left in the tank, and I think that would help them out, push their offense, better than it was last year.
Yep.
And obviously, he's a good shooter. I think he would fit really well. I don't know if he would take the starting spot over DiVincenzo, but certainly I think I could see him ending games if they were able to pick him up.
Yeah, he'd be a solid get. Definitely a guy I've kind of forgotten about recently just because of his where he is and what he's done recently. But always had that silky smooth ugly jumper
Yeah.
and always was a solid player. But anyone else you think they could get? I don't got anyone else on mind here.
Oh, those are the only two I thought. Otherwise, I think uh they don't need to make that many changes. I mean, the
Yeah.
changes they made in the offseason seem to be really working. I mean, it's only been one game and
Yeah.
they
It looks
looked really
great.
good. And I can get
Yeah.
into more of the game
Let's
later
yeah, let's
on.
just get into it. So the Bucks Nets they played today, the first game of the season. We had the ring ceremony. Giannis said he wanted a ring at least as big as his brother Costas from when he won his Lakers championship. And I think he got it, man. That was big bling, and it was nice to see our neighbors over there in Milwaukee be able to celebrate. It was a great game for Jordan Nwora
Hmm.
and a solid game for Giannis and a great game for Pat Connaughton. I mean, might not even need to trade him for a guy who's a solid shooter because he might be it after the night, huh?
Yeah. I mean, he struggled at the first half, but he just kind of once all the starters went away, he just started sinking them, get his average
Yeah,
back up. He's like,
yeah,
oh, I can't end at 16%.
yep. No, he
Uh,
shot 8 of 13. He got 4 of 9 from three. I mean, more than what you can hope for with Connaughton. So
yeah. I think this game really came out. I mean, Portis, DiVincenzo were out off injury. I think this really came down to once they started getting into the game, they're like, we got to get all these young shooters out there. We got to see how they're going to do. Got to fit them back in.
yeah,
Like Norwa, mainly Norwa and Allen. Allen started for them as shooting guard, and he did pretty well. I think he did
yep,
what he was supposed to, and I think Norwa. So there's a few guys that fell into this issue that I'll bring up that he started the game off thinking it was preseason, doing all these like step backs. I'm like, okay, man, it's the
Yeah,
regular season. You can't be
it's
doing that
time to
stuff now.
buckle down now.
And he did on the second half. He just started hitting his shots, a lot of catch and shoots. I really like how they played their offense around Harden. So I'm the Bucks. So the Bucks would you would Harden got switched on to Giannis a lot. So naturally you'd be like, oh yeah, just mouse in the house, pull him back, get him into the paint. But it was really interesting because he would get into the paint enough where they have to bring in help because it's Giannis on Harden, right? So as soon as the help dropped in, they would get that free shooter, and they're just letting their young players shoot it, and like they did it 5 or 6 times, and it was either Norwa, Allen in the corner, sometimes or
Yep.
they'd find him and make the next pass to Drew Holiday on the wing at the beginning of the game. Like it worked out really well for them, and I think that was where they shined.
Yep. No, it's a good formula. I mean, have good shooters around a guy who can get double teamed in the paint so he can dish it out to one of them. It's foolproof. You always get someone wide open. And this Bucks team, that's why we think they need more shooters. It only
Mhm.
makes more sense to build upon that. But they do have some solid guys here, at least right now, who can be called upon, like tonight.
Yeah, for sure. But on the net side, it
Patty
you really
Mills, 7 of 7 from
yeah, Patty
three.
Mills, great pickup, but you really saw the absence of Kyrie. Not in the fact, like aside from the fact that Kyrie's uh top 5 point guard in the league, you really saw the absence because there's no one else. It was Harden was doing everything he could. Durant was doing everything he could, but it was mainly those two just leading the charge. I mean, no one else was in double figures aside from Patty Mills. They just couldn't create. LaMarcus Aldridge was struggling out there. Nick Claxton. I mean, they just had what they did with the playoffs, and they just had their center guard Giannis. It's gonna be a huge struggle. Like people didn't forget about like how they have to like get this defensive system, and they have to completely learn a new system because their third best star is out. And like
Yeah.
aside from people being like, oh well, like people want to jump to be like, oh well, they have three of the best superstars because they do, but like when one is out, like that's 40 million in cap. You could have like a few other players, that they could have
Yeah.
signed, and that's like even when they're gone. Obviously, there's the gone, but there's the expectation like when they don't show up, like there's no one else, especially on this
Yeah.
team. Like, but I was surprised that if going into like the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter Cam Thomas and Bruce Brown were DNPs until like the trash time came in and they let all the younger players in. But
Yeah. Yeah. Bruce Brown, one of their better defenders last season and one of their better young players overall. Kind of surprising to see him not play, but they brought in some veteran talent this year and LaMarcus Aldridge is back. So
yeah, I mean Javion Carter took Bruce Brown's
Jalen
spot.
Carter,
I really thought I mean I didn't get that at all. I mean I didn't see why they would replace it in watching the game. I didn't see why this guy is in for Bruce Brown. Like Bruce Brown was healthy. He could have went. I mean, he came into the game at the very end. So
Yep.
he's that effort player. He was like a huge part of their perimeter defense. I mean,
I
he guarded
mean,
every
the
position for
suggestion
them.
that they had on the telecast was that perhaps they want to see what they have in these new guys like Javion Carter, and they know what they have in Bruce Brown already. So at least for the first couple of games, you'd be like, all right, here's what we got. How does that fit in with guys like Bruce Brown and our other dudes? Now we know, okay, now we'll play Bruce Brown more maybe on this matchup or, whatever else. And, they're bound to have injuries. It's an older team. I'm not too worried about Cam Thomas and Bruce Brown getting playing time because I think
Yeah,
realistically, like a lot of these guys are going to need rest on this team,
yeah,
even if they don't have like any actual injuries. Like they're just going to need time off.
yeah. I just thought it was the season opener. Is now the time to like start? And I thought this was a pretty big game for them. I mean, it's the Eastern Conference Finals rematch, and they're gonna have to
Yeah.
go through the Bucks if they want to get to the finals. So I thought this was a huge like. I mean, they did take it seriously, but I would have thought this was a thing where it's like we'll test the games after this, like the Philly game. I mean, that's a good time to test because Philly's testing.
I'm sure
So
realistically they didn't think like making that type of experiment was a big enough difference where they would have lost. Like they probably still think, hey, you know what? Either way, Durant and Harden are starting either
yeah,
scenario. So we have a great chance to win either way.
right. But otherwise, man, it's just gonna be. I think it's gonna be a huge struggle if he doesn't show up. I mean, referring to Kyrie.
I don't know about
Uh,
a huge struggle. I mean, they're still the best team in um I mean maybe not the best team in the East, but they're right up there, top two, top three. So
well,
I don't see many issues for them.
Kyrie was a huge issue, especially like it kind of showed that's what I pulled out of this game. I was like, the Bucks defense, like why they were losing so bad even before, like at the start of the conference finals, was like the Nets. Their thing is they're supposed to be like the best offensive team in the league, but without Kyrie, it really hurts their offense, and it brings it down to where like the Bucks defense, if they just play a decent, have some good offense going like they did today, like that's enough, you know.
Yeah. No, I
I think
mean,
that's they come down to they're mortal now. You
yeah, I
know,
mean,
they have
yeah, oh,
weakness.
for sure. I mean, and but in a 7 game series, we'll see. Like, I definitely think they could still beat the Bucks in a 7 game series. And we still have a whole regular season to play. This
Right.
team will absolutely be buyers at the deadline, and they'll make changes if they need to. And I think they've got a real solid squad right now. They've got to maybe build a little bit of chemistry, get through the adversity of Kyrie. And Kyrie also could get his vaccine at any point this season. The New York restrictions, they could change and they could just casually add a top 5 point guard, just like it's nothing. So who knows if that'll happen? But as things are right now, I mean, they're still great. Like I'm not going to overreact to one game against the Bucks. The Bucks are the best defensive team in the league, and it's quite possible that the Nets do not match up well against the Bucks. Which, if that's the case, they better hope that they just don't see them in the playoffs.
Yeah, I did really appreciate that they had when he was in the game. Drew Holiday was guarding Kevin Durant. I love when shorter guards like Pat Bev and
Yeah,
those type of guards guard Durant, because I just feel like he has so much more problems with them, and I don't know why. Like,
it's probably just like so
mental
confused, and
more
it's
than
like
anything.
mental. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
but
let's
that was
move on
fun to
to the
see.
next game. In the 9 o'clock window, here Central Time, we had the Los Angeles Lakers and the Golden State Warriors. And for a bit here, it seemed like the Lakers were in control, like they were going to deliver the knockout blow at any point. But instead, they let the Warriors get back into it. They started shooting decently well, especially our boy Jordan Poole ending up with 21 points. And the Warriors pull it off. They got the win here on opening night. And Steph Curry didn't have a great game, but none of his fans will tell you that. They will say he looked fantastic and he's as great as ever, when in
He
reality, he's still owned by LeBron.
he did have a good game. He didn't have a good
No, he
shooting
had a
game.
triple double. He shot 3 of 13 for a bit.
That's my point. He had a triple. He had a good game. He was able to,
Yeah,
even though
you're
he
right.
wasn't shooting
Got
well,
some
he was
rebound.
able to affect the team well. But yeah, Jordan Poole. I mean, nobody was hitting in the first half. It was pitiful. I was about to like text you, be like, all right, we can podcast. It's over. I was like,
It's
it's done.
over.
It's done. It was like when I saw Damian Lee miss this. What? No, it was the point where Wiggins was coming down. They had a 4-on-1. To both guys in the wings were just wide open, and he went for a contested layup, and I was like, Wiggins. I'm like, it's over. It's over. And that's when Steve Kerr was like, it's over. And he called timeout
Yeah.
too. He's like, this is fucking ridiculous.
I
He's
didn't notice Wiggins for a lot of the game.
he was in foul
You
trouble
know,
the first half.
yeah, of course he was able to hit a three that was like a little bit of padding on the game at the end. Like he doesn't show up like when you need him to like get you ahead. He's like, "Oh, hey, do you need 3 more? You need 3 more points? I'll give you 3 more." And they're like,
Uh,
"Thanks. We're already up by 9, I guess. We'll take 3 more, Wiggins."
Yeah. What the issue was for the Lakers is they let the Warriors get into their motion offense. They
Yeah.
were they're stopping a lot of off ball movement in the first half. They were crowding Steph Curry, and that, but then the adjustment they made is they started all those plays were running for Steph Curry. They just threw Poole in there. All those swings, all those wraparounds. Uh, they're like, hey, Poole, we're gonna run them on you because Curry's obviously already like that double coveraged off ball,
Yeah.
and it started paying.
Yeah,
So they
Poole
had
looked
to,
like Curry out there. I mean, he was
yeah,
hitting some deep threes. He was decisive, hitting them early in the shot clock. So, I mean, it's working out.
yeah. Um, that's really what made this game is them falling into what they knew, and the Lakers let it go. I mean, the Lakers looked great in the first half, not Russ, but everyone else, all the
Yeah,
other
AD and
additions.
LeBron looked fantastic. And,
Yep.
people are going to be railing on the Russell edition all year, especially on ESPN, all the podcasts, whatever. You know that people are going to have something to say about his shooting performance tonight.
I'm not as worried about Russell Westbrook. I mean, he did not look good the first half with the Wizards. Second half of the season, he really fell into who Russ was. He's just got to eventually learn, be like, hey, they didn't get me because I'm a good guard to fit in this system. They got me because I'm Russell Westbrook, and they want me to be Russell Westbrook. I think he'll fit into this system. I'm not fit into the system. I think he'll come back to being the Russell Westbrook we know and love, but he's not going to get the same amount of rebounds, same amount of assists, but a little tapered back. But I think it's going to take him some time to get into this system. But
He
I think
needs
I'm not too
to
worried. I think he will
he
get
needs to
there.
be efficient. He needs not to turn the ball over, or it's not going to be a good season. They need Russell Westbrook to not be Russell Westbrook. So we'll see. This was a fun game. This was a fun opening night of games. And tomorrow night, I will be at Target Center seeing the Timberwolves live against Jalen Green, Christian Wood, Kevin Porter Jr., and the Houston Rockets.
Hell yeah.
There's some other exciting games coming up.
Like the Magic and Spurs,
I
six
just got
thirty
my I just
Central
got
Time.
my league pass, so
Nice.
it's time to go. The NBA season is back, baby.
Yes, sir. But one last thing about the Warriors, man. What a pickup was Belichick.
Oh, Belly.
Bielitsa. Yeah, he's. I mean, like I liked it when they
Yeah.
signed him, but what a pickup. Like he
Yeah, I
was
didn't
great for them.
realize he was going to play as much as he did, but he looked good in some pick and roll opportunities, pick and pop. That's kind of what they needed him for. Um, he did make a couple of dumb mistakes, maybe more so just not understanding the cadence of a guy like Draymond. Like if Draymond has the ball on the baseline and he's driving out, you just need to be looking at him like Draymond passes it in times you wouldn't expect him to because Draymond just doesn't want to shoot. He wants to pass it. So you need to be looking. And he wasn't prepared one time and it went out of bounds.
Yeah,
Um,
that'll happen. That's just
you know,
chemistry. It's
there's
first
chemistry. So
first game. I think.
yeah, but I mean, yeah, double double. So love to see that.
Yeah, I
13 to
mean,
10.
he really helped them out because that first half, the Lakers' size and physicality were really getting to the Warriors. But then they were able to have him come in. Him and um Iguodala really helped. They're like, all right, they're playing physical. We'll get in there, and they did. It's amazing to see Iguodala still defend at the level he is for as old as he is. Like I didn't think he was going to be like this season, and I
Yeah.
mean, if he's going to continue to be like this, I think he's back where he started, back in his groove. So I think those
Yeah.
those guys were great signings. I think it's going to help them going forward, and they're just the
Yeah.
young guys got to get into it. Damian Lee, Jordan Poole, Wiseman when he comes back. Those guys got to fit into their rhythm, and then we can talk about this team being a major playoff force. But as of right now, I don't see them any better, even though they won. I don't see them any better than last season. For now, I want to see a little more out of those young players because that was a super inconsistent first half. You still got questions.
Yep, lots of questions on this team. I'd love to see Wiseman take over as their starting center, as their bona fide starting center when he's back healthy. Kevin Looney, he really should not be a starting center in this league. He's not mobile enough, especially not for this Warriors offense. And I'm really excited to see Klay Thompson when he comes back. That's going to add just a whole new element to this team that they've been missing for 2 years. And God, what a fun guy to watch and enjoy play basketball. So, Strictly Ball Business, episode 17. We went over it all today. What a fun time. Tomorrow we've got a full slate of games, so let's have some fun. Here we go.